Welcome back to Behind the Sale. My name is Princess Bonhomme, and I get to help sales reps break through their income ceilings by becoming the person that prospects want to say yes to before you even pitch. So to give you some context, last year I collected over $3.4 million in sales, and now I get to help my students go from 3K months to over $20,000 a month using exactly what I'm about to share with you. Today, we're talking about why you're losing deals that you should be closing, okay? And it's not your pitch, it's not your script, and it's not your objection handling, okay? I've got to say that because so many people are so obsessed with all of these little things when there are much bigger things that make such a big difference in the quality of the conversations that you have with your prospects, okay? One of the biggest pieces of the puzzle that are causing you to lose deals that you should easily be closing is that you don't know your avatar. And you're probably thinking, really? Of course I know my avatar. I sell to real estate agents, or I sell to stay-at-home moms who want to create an income of their own, or I sell to doctors who want to scale. Cool story, bro, but that is just demographics. That is not knowing your avatar. Knowing your avatar means understanding them on an emotional level, understanding what season of life they're in, understanding how they see the world, understanding exactly what they're dealing with right now that you can't exactly see on the surface. Because here's what happens when you don't know your avatar. You show up to calls saying the wrong things at the wrong time in the wrong way, and you lose deals that you could have easily closed. I had a coaching call today where this came up, and I realized this is something that most sales reps never think about, and this is why we're going to break it down today. So by the end of this training, you are going to understand your prospects on a level that most people never reach. And that understanding is going to make you a lot of money. So let's get into it. So here's the most fundamental issue that's causing this problem on your calls. Most sales training teaches you about the superficial layer of your avatar. So yes, know their pain points, their age, their income. Whoop-de-doo. That's it. That's where most people stop. So yes, you know you're selling to real estate agents making 100K plus, or you know you're selling to stay-at-home moms who want to make their own income, but you don't know what's going on in their world right now. You don't know what season they're in right now. You don't know what makes them feel safe versus what makes them shut down. And because you don't know that, you're showing up to your calls blind. You're using the same approach with a doctor that you would use with a 22-year-old who wants to land a job on Wall Street. You're pitching to real estate agents in Q4 the same way you would pitch them in Q1. You're talking to stay-at-home moms like they're just moms who want to make money, and you're losing deals because of it. So let me give you some examples that are going to absolutely blow your mind. And I'm going to share some real student stories that show you exactly what happens when you understand this. So once you understand this, you will never show up to a call the same way again. So let's start with real estate agents. If you're selling to agents in Q4 right now, here's what you need to know. Most agents have not had a good year. The market has been brutal. Interest rates have been so high, and buyers have been more hesitant than ever. So when you get on a call with a real estate agent in November or December, they are stressed. They're wondering if they're going to make it. And what do most reps do? They pitch them on a $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 program like it's no big deal. This is going to transform your business. You're going to close more deals, Mr. Prospect. You're going to make so much money. This is going to be so great. And the agent is sitting there thinking, I can't afford this right now. I had a terrible year. I've been burnt by different companies, and I need to save my money right now, not spend it. And so they ghost you, or they give you, I need to think about it. So let me tell you about Sonia. So Sonia came to me a few months ago really frustrated because she was closing at 15 to 20% selling to real estate agents. And she would get on calls, have great rapport. Prospects would actually really love her, but they wouldn't buy. She kept getting the same objections. This is amazing what you guys do. I love this. It's unique, but I just need to get through the rest of the year and get back to you in January. And whenever she would follow up, they would just ghost. So she hopped on a call with me and I asked her, what are you saying about timing? How are you pre-framing time? She was like, I'm telling them they're going to have the best year ever. And I was like, okay, but we're in Q4. So they already didn't have the best year. So that ship has sailed. And so with your language, you're essentially reminding them that they failed. And her mind was blown. Here's what we changed. Instead of ignoring the fact that this year was rough, we started acknowledging it. So she would start saying, I know this year has been really challenging. A lot of agents are feeling the pressure right now. And that alone immediately created trust because she wasn't pretending that everything was fine. She was meeting them exactly where they were. And the other shift was reframing Q4 as the best time to invest. So I had her say this. Here's what I've noticed. The agents who invest in the right systems to generate more quality leads in Q4 are the ones who end up crushing it in Q1 because they're setting up their lead gen, their follow-ups, and their systems now while everyone else is panicking. So when January hits, they're already a few months ahead of the game. We took their biggest objection that they can't afford this right now and flipped it into the very reason why they need to do it now. And her close rate went from 15 to 20% up to 50 to 60% within just a month. So these are the same leads, same offer. She just finally understood how to meet her avatar where they are. That is what knowing your avatar looks like. So now let's deep dive on doctors, okay? If you sell to doctors, here's what you need to understand. In their everyday life, they are the authority in every room that they walk into. Patients, nurses, even other doctors defer to them because they have a certain level of expertise, right? So when they get on a call with you, they're used to being the smartest person in every room. They're used to people asking questions, not the other way around. So let me tell you about my student, Mark. He is selling a coaching program to physicians who want to scale their cash-based businesses. And he was getting absolutely destroyed on calls. His prospects would talk over him, interrupt him, and try to rush him through discovery because, in their words, I don't have time for this. And he would leave every call feeling steamrolled, knowing that he let them dictate the entire conversation instead of actually leading them to make a decision. His close rate was around 20-25%, and he was ready to quit. And so I listened to one of his calls, and within minutes, I could see exactly what the problem was. He was showing up as if he was just lucky to be on the call with them. His energy was like, I need them to be a client. I need their approval. He was nervous that they would think that he was wasting their time, and type A prospects can smell that a mile away. He needed to show up on his calls with a bigger frame. So here's what we practiced. Dr. So-and-so, I appreciate your time today. Here's how this call is going to go so we can make the most of our time together. I'm going to ask you some questions to get clarity on where you are right now in the business, what some of those bottlenecks are that are preventing you from scaling, so we can actually get clarity on where you want to go. And if I feel confident that what we do is in alignment with what you need, I'll walk you through exactly how we can work with you to help you get there. So that right away establishes him as the authority in this conversation, as the expert. And not in an arrogant way, but in a professional way. And we also practiced pushing back when they tried to rush discovery. So for example, when prospects would say, just tell me how much the program is, he used to go, sure, let me tell you what's included, and just rush through the whole process, hoping that they'll magically pay, even though he didn't actually get clarity on their problem on the call. Now, the way he handles it, he goes, no worries, I'll get to that. But first, I need to get a little bit more clarity on your situation so I can make sure that what we do is a good fit for you. That way, I'm not wasting both of our time. So now the prospect respects it because he's framing it in his best interest. His close rate skyrocketed from 20% to 60% within 5 weeks. Why? Because he finally understood his avatar. When doctors show up to your sales calls, they don't need yet another person kissing their butt. They need you to show up as the expert and give them the solution they're looking for so they can get on with their day and maximize their limited time. That is what knowing your avatar looks like. So let's talk a bit more about type A prospects in general. It's so important to understand that since these are typically the overachievers in the room, these are people who are used to winning. Business owners, executives, entrepreneurs, high-performance sales reps. If you're constantly getting walked all over by these people, it's because you don't truly understand them. So here's what you need to know. Type A prospects respect strength, not aggression. Strength. Don't let these sales bros fool you into thinking that you need to be aggressive or that you need to have some witty comeback or some condescending thing that you need to say to put people in their place. That is not how you earn respect. Type A prospects just want to know that you can handle them and that you can help them. They want to know that you're not going to crumble under pressure. They want to know that you believe in what you're selling enough to stand your ground and get the job done. So when they test you, and they will, don't fold. They'll interrupt you. They'll challenge your questions. They'll try to skip discovery and jump straight into the pitch because they want to know the price. Most sales reps panic and just go along with it because they don't want to lose the sale. But here's the irony. Going along with it is what loses the sale. So here's what top closers do. They hold frame. They say, I understand that you're busy, and if I'm going to help you, I need to understand your situation first. So I'll ask you a few questions to get clarity, and then we'll get to the solution once I can figure out exactly what you need. They're not rude. They're just firm. And type A prospects really respect that because it shows that you're not desperate for their money. It shows that you have standards. It shows that you are a professional, not someone trying to make a quick sale. If you're constantly getting walked all over by type A prospects, it's because you don't truly know your avatar. They see you as just another sales rep who can't wait to pitch them and take their money. So once you shift that, watch your close rate skyrocket too. All right, let's deep dive on stay-at-home moms, okay? So typical B2C e-com type of offers, and a lot of sales reps just look at the surface level, okay? So let's go deeper. So here's what's really going on. Let's say if you're selling to stay-at-home moms, you've got to understand what's going on internally. A lot of them have internal conflict around their identity because they've given up their careers to raise their children. They're asking questions like, do I still have skills? Can I still contribute to the household financially? Think about what society tells them, that they should just be grateful to be home with their kids. But maybe they're bored. Maybe they feel unfulfilled outside of their family. And they might feel guilty for wanting to be more than just a mom. So when they get on your sales call, they're not just looking to make money. They're looking for validation because their pain is very valid. They're looking for proof that they still matter beyond their role as a mother. So let me tell you about Jessica. So Jessica is one of my students who was selling a digital marketing course to stay-at-home moms. And she was so confused because the women on her calls would agree with everything. They would get emotional on the calls and they would still not buy. And she was so confused because on the surface, it seemed like she got everything she needed. So here's what she was doing on her calls. She would future pace them on the money. Imagine being able to make an extra $5 to $10K a month. Imagine being able to help your husband out with the finances. And they would say, yes, sounds amazing. But when it came time to invest in themselves, they would say, well, I need to talk to my husband. And Jessica got so frustrated. She was like, Princess, they love everything about the offer. They get so excited, but then they don't buy. What the heck am I doing wrong? So I asked her, do you know what you're actually selling them? She said, financial freedom, the ability to make money while they're home with their kids. And I said, that's what you think you're selling, but that's not what they're buying. And so here's what we changed. Instead of just talking about money, Jessica started talking about identity. And so on her calls, she would say, what's so amazing about this is that it gives you something that's yours. Not your husband's, not your kids, but yours. You get to build something that reminds you that you are more than just an amazing mom. You are capable, intelligent boss who can create an empire of her own. Whew! Now that hit completely different. So because Jessica wasn't just selling them income anymore, she was selling them back their identity that they felt they lost. Her close rate went from 25% to 55% on the same offer with the same leads. She finally understood what they actually needed to hear. And with that shift alone, she was able to break past $15,000 a month in commissions. So same offer, same leads. All that changed is she finally understood what they need to hear, what they need to feel. Because when they buy, they're not just buying a program, they're buying permission to make more for themselves. All right, so now let's pivot and do a deep dive on a health offer. Let's say you're selling a health offer for women who deal with hormonal imbalance, okay? Here's what you need to know about this avatar when you're selling a health offer. These prospects are in so much pain because they have tried everything. They've been to doctors who dismissed them. They've spent money on programs that didn't work. They are so frustrated and maybe even feeling a bit hopeless. So when they get on a sales call, by this point, they're probably feeling so skeptical. And it's not because they don't want your help. It's because they've been burned before. So here's how top closers show up. They acknowledge the pain. They validate their frustration. They say, I know you've probably tried so many things that haven't worked. And I know it is so exhausting to keep hoping that something finally works. That creates trust immediately because you're not pretending that that pain and that history does not exist. And then from there, in the way that you position your offer, you show them what makes this so different and you show them that you understand. And then you walk them through exactly what makes this different. Another really powerful thing you can do in discovery is ask, I'm so curious, why haven't you given up? Because I bet you no one else has ever asked them that. This is what knowing your avatar looks like. Let's do another one, okay? They're just coming to me. They're flowing into my brain right now. So let's talk about accountants, okay? Let's say you're selling to accountants or other kinds of prospects who are highly analytical. So maybe they're not super type A in terms of being very financially successful, but they are a very analytical person who thinks logically, who really wants to be successful. Same thing goes if you're selling some sort of trading offer or stock investing offer. So here's what you need to know. These prospects are very detail-oriented and they are very risk-averse. So since they're very analytical, what do they need? I'll give you a second to think about it. If you said proof, you are correct, my friend. They need proof. So if you're on a call with a very logical person, don't give them vague promises. Do not use hype language and do not rush them, okay? Give them specifics, show them the numbers, walk them through what that ROI looks like, and make sure they have complete clarity on that because their brain needs that to make a decision. So walk them through exactly how it works, the timeline, what they'll invest, and what they can expect to get back based on XYZ benchmarks for your offer. They essentially need to see the spreadsheet in their head. They need to feel like, okay, this is a logical decision, not an emotional one. So if you try to close them with urgency and emotion, you will lose them because that is not how they make decisions. So last but not least, this is what knowing your avatar looks like. Now, before we go, I want to address something really important. Some of you might be thinking, Princess, this feels manipulative. I don't know. I'm using their psychology against them. Is this okay? Here's the difference. Manipulation is using someone's pain to get them to do something that does not serve them. Leadership is understanding someone's pain so you can actually help them solve it in a way that actually works. So if you're selling something unethical, there is no amount of knowledge about your avatar that will make it okay. But if you genuinely believe in your offer, if you know it will help them, then understanding their psychology is not manipulation. It's service. Because when you understand your avatar at this level, you can speak to them in a way that makes them feel seen. You can position your offer in such a way that resonates with their heart. And you can help them make a decision that they will be so grateful for. That is sales mastery. So here's your homework for after this video. Number 1 is to write down who your avatar actually is beyond the surface level demographics. So go deeper. What season of life are they in right now? What are they stressed about? What do they value the most? How do they see themselves? What are they afraid of? Truly, what keeps them up at night? Step 2, adjust your approach based on what you learned in this training. So if you sell to real estate agents in Q4, reframe that conversation around the timing when it comes to scaling their business. If you sell to doctors, show up with authority just like Mark learned to do. If you sell to type A prospects, you better hold that frame. And if you are selling to stay-at-home moms, you better speak to their identity just like Jessica learned to do. So do this on your next 10 sales calls and track the difference. I promise you, when you show up with this level of understanding for your prospects, your close rate and your cash collected will skyrocket. And if you want help applying this to your specific avatar, go ahead and book a call with me. I'll do a free 30-minute session with you where we break down exactly who you're selling to and how to position your offer in a way that truly resonates. So if you want to book a call with me, that link is in the description. The sales reps who make the most money aren't the ones with the best pitch. They're the ones who understand people on a level that most people never reach. So go deeper, really know your avatar, and watch what happens. Thank you so much for listening and or watching. If you made it to the end, congratulations, you are a real one, and I can tell you take your career and sales mastery so seriously. Go ahead and like and subscribe if you got value from this. I'm looking forward to hearing your golden nuggets and takeaways in the comments. I read every single one, and I will see you in the next one. Woo! Another one bites the dust. Doop, doop, doop. Another one bites the dust. Oh!